So we've got a very unfortunate turn of events here with VTuber Bao the Whale and popular Japanese art website Skeb. And it all begins with this now deleted tweet from Bao, where she said, with a lot of crying emojis, "Artists, please ask permission before publicly posting finished commissions. I know you're really excited about finishing a really cool commission, but you might accidentally spoil a client's project. So many commissions I just gave up doing anything because it was posted before I could do anything with them." She then followed her take up with another one there in all caps saying that she hates Skeb. I mean, quote, "I hate you, Skeb," unquote. In the screenshots, you can see that it says like an hour ago and 51 minutes ago. It's because these are screenshots that remain on the internet that people posted. But again, I think these tweets were up for a few days and she ultimately did delete them. But Skeb seemed to have found out about these tweets nevertheless, and they were not happy. And so we'll get to Skeb's response, but Bao actually just like 30 minutes ago made a tweet where she was saying that her tweet is not about Skeb. Instead, it's about her general experience with commissioned art. So I'm going to comment on this really quick, and then we'll read Skeb's full response and Bao's full response there, because what I just told you is only like the first sentence of the tweet that's like a few paragraphs long. But yeah, when I saw Bao's take initially on my timeline, I never saw the second part about it being about Skeb. So when I was first reading it, I just assumed this was like about commissioning in general, which Bao's now saying that it was about, which is a bit odd because she followed that up by saying she hates Skeb, which implies that it was about Skeb, but now she's saying it's not. Nevertheless, I'll comment on this as simply about commissioning artists, right? So I thought Bao's take was pretty weird because you simply have a discussion with the artist before you commission them about things such as the price, the timeline of like when they might finish it. I don't like to try to ask for a specific date because I think that puts too much pressure on the artist, but you know, I think a general time frame is fair, you know, like, do you think this will be done in a month, right? And it's like, yes, no, I don't need an exact date, but you kind of work that out with the artist beforehand, right? And so this also applies to when the art's posted. For example, I've had some people in like some of my viewers that, you know, ask for the feet pic stuff and they're totally memeing around, right? It's totally a meme. Nevertheless, I've commissioned some art recently, and one artist I commissioned, they had no problem with the art being posted immediately. But another artist I commissioned, they wanted me to wait like a month before I posted the art or before they posted it, because first they post it on their fan box because they have people paying them to get early access to the art. And that's totally cool. Again, as long as it's something that everyone knows about, everyone being the person making the commission and the person getting the commission, you know, work out beforehand by having a simple conversation, well, then everything works out fine. And if you're not okay with their terms, so to speak, you simply be like, okay, thanks for your time, but I'll have to look for a different artist. You know, it's not a big deal. So when Bao was talking about like artists posting art before she wants them to, I thought that was weird because, again, this is something she should have established with the artist from the very get-go, instead of not apparently doing that and then posting about it on Twitter. Nevertheless, she did later follow that up, as mentioned, with saying that she hates Skeb. And Skeb is a platform I've never used, so I'm not like too familiar with their specific way of doing things. But now she's saying it's not actually about Skeb after Skeb has responded to her. So let's take a look at Skeb's response, and then we'll take a look at Bao's full response as mentioned. Skeb says, "Warning, all rights to works on Skeb belong to creators. Clients cannot restrict creators from publishing their works for any reason. This notice is shown at 4 times before sending their first request, and they cannot proceed unless they check the box agreeing to it." So as mentioned, I've never used Skeb, but that would make it very clear, you know, how that works. We can see those 4 boxes, including the highlighted one that reads, "The copyright of the work belongs to creator. It is prohibited to specify or restrict the publication," and it gets cut off, but presumably it says like "of the work" or something like that. And they go on to say again right here, "Please do not restrict creators' activities in a way that exceeds the rules stipulated by the service." In this context, of course, creator is not referring to like the streamer as the creator. This is referring to the artist as the creator. And then another highlighted area that reads, "You cannot specify the range of publication of works and specify the delivery period that is shorter than the PER," gets cut off once again. Let's read the next highlighted areas here. "For deadline of the request, it is a violation of the terms for the client to specify the publication date and time. And types of requests, creators can freely publish on social networks and fanzines without permission from the clients." So this is some pretty strict stuff, but again, at least they make it very clear what you're getting into if you want to use Skeb. And if you're not okay with these terms, then you simply don't use them. For example, Bao talking about how her commission was essentially ruined because the artist posted it before she wanted to be posted, and then she couldn't do anything with it, which is very vague, and we don't know contextually like what exactly she's talking about here. But you can clearly see how something like that would not work with Skeb's terms of service, despite how she's now saying that it's not actually about Skeb. Her take's not actually about Skeb, apparently, even though she attached to her tweet that she hates Skeb, which made everyone think that she's talking about Skeb, and now some people don't believe her when she's saying that it's not actually about Skeb. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself with that. We'll get to more of that in a moment. And like I said in the intro, this is a very unfortunate situation, and I don't like seeing Bao in this situation, but at the same time, she did bring this entirely on herself. All she had to do was not make that initial tweet. It's really, really unfortunate. And I say this with the most respect and kindness to people out there. It's a general, a general bit of advice, so to speak. Some people do too much on Twitter, guys. Sometimes tweeting less is the right move. Skeb goes on to post, Skeb is fundamentally different from Western art commission platforms. It's a creator support platform rooted in Japan's Sukebu culture, where artists draw illustrations on the spot at doujinshi conventions. Skeb is not a stock material marketplace. Over 30% of users are now from overseas. We sincerely thank everyone abroad who understands our terms and policies carefully and supports creators. Important. Only we may issue warnings or impose penalties for violations of our terms and policies. When misinformation spreads, we will contact the parties involved directly. Vigilant actions or attacks are strictly prohibited. Thank you for your understanding. Addendum. So now we can theorize a little bit, because this is very interesting when Skeb talks about how they will reach out to parties involved directly. Because if I recall, Bao's take was up for a few days before she deleted it. And it seems like not long after she deleted it, did Skeb come out with this statement that very clearly seems to be implied to be about Bao's tweet, as it did get seen a lot and shared a lot on Twitter. And so I do wonder if Skeb reached out to her initially, and then she deleted her tweet, and now we see this response from them. Skeb wasn't even done there either. They even made a whole other tweet about this, saying, Skeb doesn't and will not support commercial use requests, e.g. character design and thumbnails. Please consider using Fiverr, VGen, or Schema. And finally, they say, quote-unquote support refers to functions focused on commercial use requests, such as pricing plans, quality assurance, or NDA found on other commission platforms. We apologize for our poor English. Please take this opportunity to check the client guidelines. With all that context, we now have Bao's response from just about an hour ago. She says, my original tweet was not about Skeb. It was my general experience with commissioned art. My opinion of Skeb was an afterthought. I get why people are thinking the former. I haven't used Skeb for almost a year. My tweet went way out of my circle and understandably led to a lot of people to think what I was saying was 100% about Skeb. It wasn't. The reason why I said I dislike Skeb was due to the option of keeping the commission private on the artist Skeb profile. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I just don't want my NSFW commissions connected to my Skeb profile. If it's posted on their Twitter with no connection to me, that's fine. Work in process, streams, all of it is fine. As for general commissions, aka what my tweet was originally about, commissions not via any website, if you took the time to see my replies, it was 100% in support of artists, and I continually wished for ways to better serve the purpose of the commission, such as paying for an NDA fee, extra cost to keep a commission hidden, etc. I understand why this confused artists, but even in my replies, I did not spread misinformation about Skeb. I'm aware of how the site works, albeit through a lot of trial and error, but this is the common experience, and I'm allowed to say it isn't my preference. This part where she says if you took the time to see my replies seems to be an unfair and unrealistic standard to have on people. Like, say what you want to say in your initial tweet, your full take, in the initial tweet or the ones that are directly attached to it, but you can't then expect everyone to just spend all the time going through all the responses to look for something that they don't even know is there, and then to hold that against them. Bao added on to her take saying, I'm very sorry for the stir it caused. What is not my cup of tea can still be yours, but I should be more aware of my influence, and that's no excuse. No matter my issues, art is meant to be human, and I would rather deal with a few hiccups than resort to AI. Also, I was emailed a violation of terms of service, so took down my tweet. Okay, so that's exactly what we were speculating about earlier. And she goes on to say, there wasn't any clarification in the email, but since I haven't used Skeb in almost a year, I assumed it was because of it. As you can see, this response near the top says, I think you should be mindful of what you write. Following up with, quote unquote, I hate Skeb, very, very strongly implies they're a big culprit in the post. It also generates general negativity because hate is a strong word. And Bao says, that's on me. I should have clarified in the follow-up tweet and not replies, which also kind of goes back to the criticism I had of her tweet just like a minute ago. So at least she is owning up to that. A few more responses here we'll take a look at, where the next one reads, I saw it and just thought it was you having a moment of frustration. I'm sorry it left your bubble and just became another reason to criticize you. She says, it really was never that deep. And this one says, at this point, girl, you could say, I like cats and people are going to scream you hate dogs. Why do they read so far into the tweets like that? This is such a crazy thing to say because the issue is not with people reading too much into the tweet like this person is saying. It's very clearly an issue with how the tweets were structured and attaching to the initial complaint how Bao said that she hates Skeb. Anyways, Bao responds to that person saying, I used to get 3,000 likes and maybe like 20 retweets. I don't know why this keeps happening. On the flip side, a lot of people seem to think that Bao's not being honest with claiming it wasn't about Skeb. In other words, they think it was about Skeb. For example, this one responding to Bao saying, me when I lie, and posting where she had said that she hates Skeb. Bao then says, post my replies, dog, and gets a response from someone with a dog profile pic. That's actually kind of hilarious. But this person posts where Bao had said, I hate Skeb with a burning passion. I just don't think I have it in me to trust another similar platform. And then this would get a follow-up from someone else who posts the full conversation there, which had the context of this person, Zazzy, saying if you use VGen, there is a terms of service and options usually saying if the artist is allowed to post or if you need to pay a confidentiality fee. Everywhere else, though, it can be pretty dicey. Bao says, I actually do not use VGen. And this other person, Silver, saying it's pretty cool. I've been working on VGen for like 2 years already, and you can find really good stuff. To which Bao then made that follow-up take, once again, that reads, I hate Skeb with a burning passion. I just don't think I have it in me to trust another similar platform. And I don't really see how all of this is really helping Bao's case about it apparently not being about Skeb, where she says, like, post the replies. I don't think this is helping as mentioned unless I'm missing something here. Well, let me know what you think. I would also like to point this out really quick, where Bao says, my tweet went way out of my circle. I don't understand how someone who is in a public-facing position, like a streamer, especially one who's successful, to compliment Bao. She's a very successful streamer. She's high profile in the streamer niche, excuse me. Point being, I don't understand how someone in that sort of position could even expect to make a tweet that's only going to stay in the so-called quote-unquote inner circle or whatever, you know, however that's defined. Like, dude, you've got a lot of people that follow you and a lot of people that are interested in what you say. Again, I say that as a compliment to her. But that therefore means if you make a public statement, you can't expect it to just stay in your inner circle. Again, however that's supposed to be defined. In the quote tweets, we can see that a lot of people think Bao's lying. For example, this one that says, lie and try to delete your tweets because you're a freaking liar. And this one that says, girl, I respect your work, but they're destroying you in the quote tweets. Here's someone who was defending her earlier tweets. And they say, I stand by me defending her earlier tweet. But this one's really dumb. Like, come on, lol. I do not buy that you suddenly mentioned Skeb for an entirely different reason and complaint when the tweet very much read as a Skeb jab. I'm really trying to look for some tweets that are defending Bao entirely so we could have some, like, differing opinions here. But as you can see, it looks like the majority of people in the quote tweets are not really having her response. They're not really believing it. It just goes on and on, like this one saying, yeah, no, again, with backpedaled excuses. Let's see this one. In particular, I hate you, Skeb. What about this one? Quote, if you took the time to look at my replies, unquote, as if she hadn't posted a huge wall of text followed by hating on Skeb and still blaming other people for misinterpreting her. I'm sorry for her fans, but this is making me actively dislike her. The next one saying reality can be whatever I want. Line is just as easy as breathing, perhaps easier. Yeah, there's not really a single quote tweet that I've seen that's just like fully defending her. As you can see, this is essentially all the quotes are. So let's go back to the direct responses really quick. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Just as I say that, I think we found a defense tweet. It reads, or defense quote tweet. I think this is a good response and I'm glad to hear it. I will continue to stand on business that if you if you CM me, commission me. Okay, dude. What the heck? I expect you to communicate your needs as far as hiding the art goes. That being said, I can accommodate most reasonable requests or provide an NDA for a small fee. But yeah, after that one, it's just back to essentially non-stop people not believing her, saying she has like no accountability and stuff, just saying it's damage control. If we leave the quote tweets and go back to the direct responses to her tweet, we can see that people are a bit more split. For example, this response reading, "Girl, I feel like people don't read what you say, it's scary." And this one that reads, "People were too cruel to you about it. I think it went out of your circle due to your other tweet from a few days ago too. I hate the dogpiling, especially when it wasn't that serious to begin with." And this one saying, "I'm so sorry. This got blown way out of proportion. The internet can be so unkind sometimes." So yeah, that was some differing opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments. And we've actually got one more statement from Bao from about 20 minutes ago. As she says, "I haven't been acting like myself at all. I feel that this year poisoned me deeply. And I'm not able to focus on anything but all the negatives. It's all I can think about, and it's not fair to air it out in a space that's trying to heal. I am impulsive and don't think things through. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and that is a terrible combination. It's irresponsible and really dangerous. I'm very sorry. At worst, I'm dumb as heck. Not malicious." Well, as you guys saw throughout my coverage, I do have my own criticisms for her statements and how she handled all of this. But that said, I'm inclined to believe her when she says that she's not acting like herself or feeling like herself lately. So I hope this is the end of the arc where she's become like Bao the hot take tweeter, and this is now the return of Bao the whale. And that is all the main stuff for this one, including some differing public reception towards her statements. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.